And just like that, we're live on a fractious Friday.
It's amazing how that happens, huh?
Fascinating.
One minute we're not there, the next minute we're not there.
Just like the
Just like
Giants.
Stephen Colbert.
Yeah. In fact, I have three names in the news today. You can probably guess which three they are. Stephen Colbert is one of them. That leaves only two for you to guess. And one of them is dead. And one of them,
Epstein.
There you go. You got two. Now all you have to do is remember who's the catcher for the Mariners, and you got the big three.
Now you get Big Dumper.
I was very proud of him. I loved the way that he had his younger brother, who's only 15 years old and towers over both his dad and his brother, as his catcher, and his dad pitching, who coached him through high school and got him into college ball, and then onward to the pros. I thought it was a great story.
Well,
for anybody who can find the negative side of that, good luck to you.
Well, and I've told you about this guy since last year. I mean, it's a great story. He's a great guy. How great is he? Yesterday, when he came back, or the day before yesterday, when he came back from the All-Star game, he signed a contract with a what do you call those things? A porta potty.
Big dumper.
So he could be the big dumper. The big dumper. Well, I guess they're. I forget the name of the company. It's not Here's Johnny. That's an old one. But he just seems to be. I'm sure he's going to be affected by it somehow. What I hope doesn't get affected is his home run swing, because he's got a sweet home run swing.
And the ball hops right off that bat. It's really quite something to see. I know that people talk about how the ball leaves the bat and the exit velocity and all that stuff, but the visual of him hitting the ball just seems to be super energized, super persuaded to leave the room. And a catcher who's a switch hitting power hitter with 470-foot power from both sides of the plate is a rarity. You don't find that every day. You go looking for that, good luck. You're not going to find it. You scrape the minors looking for a switch hitting power hitting catcher. How many do you think you're going to find out there right now?
None.
You're not going to find five. You're not going to find three.
Is there another one?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah. So
I didn't know he was a switch hitter until this year.
And again, for it to happen to a guy with, I don't know, you want to call it the class, you want to call it the, just the niceness of what this guy is. Everything you want to represent your ball club. He's a solid guy. He handles, we often talk about the pitching staff of the Mariners. What we don't talk about a lot is the guy who handles them. And this guy handles them and handles them well. It's not an easy job when you think about it. This guy is handling the pitching staff, hitting more home runs than
anybody
is hit before the All-Star break, or one shy, I think. And he is doing everything that's asked of him.
And look at the way he handled all the pitchers in the All-Star game itself. They had great respect for him. They had a good relationship. Michael,
I'll tell you a little funny story. I didn't see the All-Star game. I listened to it on radio because the wisdom of the people that run Major League Baseball has said that we give you this MLB package, right? You pay for this MLB package. What is it? $150 a year if you buy it. I get it because I have T-Mobile. But we shouldn't show you the All-Star game, and we shouldn't show you the Home Run Derby.
because those belong to ESPN or
So,
Fox, whoever.
I mean, it's just another total screw up, of which there are many by Major League Baseball.
Well, I thought of you when we completed 9 innings. The game was tied, very
Don't
exciting
even get
game.
going.
And then I said, the National League's in trouble. They're out of pitchers. What are they going to do if this goes to 15 innings? And that's when they tell me about, hey, we're got a new way to end the game. It's called the swing off. You're going to love it. We're not going to play any more baseball. We're just going to see who can hit the furthest home runs and do the most home runs. And then that's it. Whoever does that wins. Isn't that great? You don't have to figure out who won. When we have tie games, we don't figure out who breaks the tie. We just have a silly little game at the end.
It's asinine. It's asinine. Baseball has once again figured out a way to shoot itself in the foot. Once again, on a national stage where baseball can be winning back some of the people that have gone away from the game. Once again, where baseball could come back and say, let's do something exciting. They come up with this bullshit premise of having a shootout, trying to imitate the fourth most popular sport in the country. Matter of fact, the fifth, actually, because I'll put soccer in front of it. So they will go and they will imitate what once was the premier sports league in the land, baseball, has now figured that it'd be a good idea to do what a garage league does and have a shootout.
And the funny thing was, the game ended in an exciting way. The American League came back and tied the game with hits, timely running, and
right. Would you not have hung on for another inning or two at least?
I was going to see who won. Yeah, I wanted to see who won.
Would you have not?
I wanted to see what Dave Roberts was going to do with no pitching staff.
I mean, if you want to do something for the All-Star game, I've said it for years. What you should do is you should have a free substitution rule in the late innings. You should have a rule that says that a manager can take 2 players or 1 player per inning that has already played in the game and put them back in the game. So if the big dumper is out, the fans get a chance to see Cal Raleigh come up to bat again. Or the second thing, which I kind of like because I like the old players, is have a player that's retired within 2 or 3 years on the squad. And that player is eligible if the game goes to extra innings to put his uniform on and step in the batter's box or pitch. You get 1 each. How do you lose? How's that a loser? And the fans get, first of all, you stop this momby-pomby bullshit of trying to figure out how we should come up with some stupid way out of Star Wars to have the player figure out what they want, and have the people see something that they've never seen before in the nation's premier. Really, they have taken and they've NBA-ized the All-Star game. They have now. I'm not a big fan of the home run derby, but I can live with it. But the game is sacred. The game is the game. The game is what counts. The game is what matters. The game is the romance. And if you take that romance and you start messing with it,
You got a
It's like
circus
being
head.
yeah, it's like being in a long-term romance with somebody, and then all of a sudden say, "Hey, Mary Lou, bring your brother in here. Let's see if he can kiss me as well as you can." It's ludicrous. It's asinine. And I never thought I would say this, but with the exception of the pitch clock, there is not another rule that they have put in baseball that is any good. And I don't like the challenges. I don't like this new pitchometer, whatever it is.
The pitch off.
This whole thing with the computer. There has to be baseball has to have some kind of lesson in it. Baseball has to have some kind of I don't know. I always thought that part of baseball is that it teaches you that things don't always go your way. And how do you deal with that? How do you as a human being, when you are young and you get a called third strike that you don't think you should have, it teaches you to say a few words to the umpire and then walk away. You don't sit there and try to show the umpire up. You don't sit there and try to show the umpire that he's wrong, even if he might be wrong. That's part of the game, at least in my opinion.
Well, it would have been interesting to see what an extra inning challenge to the Tides game, with most of the people who had come to play the game had been used and were sitting around and laughing and scratching, waiting for the post-game meal. Now suddenly we're in extra innings. We tied the game in the bottom of the ninth. We're ready to go. We've shown that we're all-stars. We can play this game. And it would have been a great challenge to the managerial skills to put together a team that was going to get them through extra innings. And the painful thing about extra innings, as we all know, is you don't know if it's going to go 16 innings or if it's going to go 10 innings. You just don't know. There's no way to know.
Right. That is one of the best parts of baseball, is that you don't know. It is infinity. It doesn't have to end. It can go all night. It can go into the next day. How many times have you been to a game that's ended at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning? I mean, I've been to a few of them. You're sitting there and guys are getting up, and the character of the game changes.
Dramatically.
Because the players are tired. They don't see the ball as well as they should. Some of them get an extra wind. Back in the 80s, some of them got a little something extra besides the wind.
There you go.
And I just think I just think we've done the fans a disservice. I think we've done baseball a disservice. I think that we have done the players, all of the players that have come before these players that are that played in this game,
like Roberto Clemente.
I mean, that thing with Bud Selig a few years ago where he stopped the game because there was no more pitches, that was bad enough. But to have
I'm calling the game.
Yeah, a tie. But this was a debacle. This was sad. This shows how much, I mean, I think it says a lot about our society.
Well, if you had seen the home run derby the day before the game, you'd have seen that it was interesting in terms of who was hitting the home runs, but it was very hard to follow because it was just shambles.
And how does Pat McAfee, a football player, what is he doing on the field?
He won't put his
All of a
arms
sudden,
down.
he's presenting people. I mean, at that presenting of the trophy, you have a nitwit like McAfee running over and drape some kind of chain around his neck to make him look like some kind of 70s disco star.
It was an ugly
I mean, why not
necklace.
bring out Denny Terrio?
What about Manny Sanguin, who wore platform shoes with a live fish in the heel? Remember that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, why not bring out these people? It's they're screwing the game up. Now, maybe I'm wrong, Michael. Maybe we're just a couple of old men, and we'll be dead in a few years, and nobody will ever listen to what we say, nor will they care. But I always thought that part of the charm of this game was that the game that Cal Raleigh's father pitched to him was derived from the same game that Cal Raleigh swung at, and that his younger brother will hopefully, with a little bit of luck, get into as well, and maybe his son, if I forget if he has a son or not. But it's the same, it's the game. Nothing is more important than the game. Nothing is more sacred than the game. And I thought it was an absolute travesty. And, I'm sure that people will say, but, I've lived with the home run derby. I've lived with everything else. They're turning me off on it. And I haven't paid that much attention. And you know me, I used to be a guy that used to travel to all the All-Star games. The All-Star game was my vacation every year. I went all over the place to All-Star games before I even got into baseball. And I've seen some great ones.
Well, at least they wore their uniforms this time. That was a return to something that the fans wanted. Wear your team's uniform. Don't wear some stupid reissue.
That was the one. That was the one thing that was good, is that they wore their team's uniform. So the hometown fans can it gives them a piece of the game.
Right.
The game is about representing your city. With those stupid uniforms, there was no representing your city. It was a bunch of softball uniforms, and might I say, stupidly designed uniforms. For the home run derby, I thought they were dumb uniforms. Again, give me a uniform that has that tradition in it. Not everything has to look like it's from outer space.
And maybe they explained it once, but I didn't know why everybody was wearing the same number or the significance of the special uniforms they wore during the home run derby.
I didn't catch it because, again, they decided not to show it unless you paid for it. And I have found out that I thoroughly enjoy listening to Rick Riz explain to me on the radio what the game sounds like, just as I did when Lindsey Nelson and Ralph Kiner and Bob Murphy used to explain it to me when I was a kid. I am lucky enough.
So you heard it called on radio, ESPN radio?
ESPN radio, which is another travesty, but because again, they can't keep to what's going on the field. They have to go this, that, this, the other thing. And what was this new rule about the ball went out or didn't go out, but then they said the ball went out?
A kid, one of the volunteer outfielders, the kids that shagged the balls during the home run derby, went back to the fence and robbed a guy. He reached his hand up over the fence and caught the ball. They said, that's not an out, that's a home run.
I can see that. I got no problem with that. If the ball was legitimately going out, I mean, nice moment for the kid that he jumped up and did it.
Right.
But he's not getting paid to go out there and be and be Willie Mays going up against the fence. He's getting paid to shag flies.
Right.
He's getting paid. He's a ball boy. He's not one of the players.
Well, one of the players that you honor on your New York Mets came up with an idea today that I saw online. Pete Alonso, the polar bear, said that from now on, when the pitcher hits the batter and the batter charges the mound, the league style, the aggrieved batter and the accused pitcher have to fight with no one interrupting the situation or remedying it by getting between them and stopping the fight. If you charge them out,
I could see the umpires going over. That's what they do in hockey. Is the refs go over? They let them twist it out a little bit for a minute or so, and then the refs go over in hockey. Well, I could see the umpires going over. And
I was thinking that's fine if you're Pete Alonso. Not everybody's the size of you, Mr. Polar Bear. So it's interesting that you've come up with that solution that satisfies your needs. But what if you're a 120-pound shortstop or second baseman? Maybe you need the pitching staff to help you out.
Maybe you just stay where you are.
Maybe you just say that hurt.
Maybe you say ouch.
I'll tell you one thing about that last pitch. That last pitch hurt.
Yeah, maybe you just say ouch. And you keep on go on your merry way up to first base.
Enjoy your time on the base path.
And you do the way they used to do it. What would happen in the 60s and the 70s if something like that happened?
You return the favor.
Your guy would come out the next inning, and he'd pick the shortest guy or the littlest guy in the lineup, who was your equivalent in the lineup. Usually, it was the same position player, and he'd plunk him. And it'd be settled, right?
Especially if you got him in the hip.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't done to hurt somebody. It was done as part of the game. We're even now, okay? We don't need to bring a gun. We don't need to. The only time it got. First of all, you need more Bob Gibsons in the world.
That would hurt. Bob Gibson may have done it perfunctory. He may have thrown below the waist, but it's not going to be a pleasant experience.
Right, but you weren't going to go out there and tell him that you didn't like it. You were going to saddle up and put your bat down, walk up to first base, and keep damn mouth shut.
Only make it worse.
Because if you didn't, the next guy was going to get it. And Gibson wouldn't care if he loaded the bases. Same thing with Drysdale. I always remember that great Don Drysdale story where what was it that he said I forget who it was that was stepping into the box, and he said, you want me to they told him Walt Alston told Don Drysdale to intentionally walk. I forget who the batter was. He says, okay, I'm going to save 3 pitches, and he just popped them.
Saving my arm, Walt.
I'm saving my arm, Chief. But that was it. Nobody was looking to hurt anybody. Nobody was looking to get into a thing. Yeah, there were teams that didn't like each other. Certainly the Giants and the Dodgers, especially after the Marichal Roseboro affair. Kids go look it up on the internet. For years there was bad blood there. But I just listen. I'm not stupid enough to not realize that the game is changing, that life is changing around us. That now I needed a blood oxygen meter. I didn't go to the medical supply store. I called up Amazon. They got one to my house in 45 minutes. So I know it's a different world. But I want some things to be the same, especially where my sports are. I want a pitcher to throw 4 balls to walk somebody.
Well, so if you're going to change the game in any way, and rules change periodically in all sports, why does it consistently make the game less interesting and adds nothing to the majesty of the game and the mystery of the game and the uncertainty of the game? Why does it have to be the Smokey Burgess rule where you put a man at second base when there wasn't a man anywhere on the infield? You give him an opportunity for a single to win the game when they didn't earn it. They put nobody on base. They didn't send anybody up who could hit. They were given the gift of a runner at second base with nobody out, and explain how that helps the game, except to send the people home.
Right, except to send people home 20 minutes early. Well, hell, if that's what you're going to do, your stand's open until the end of the game.
We're done playing, so we're going to end this game here, and we'll figure out who's going to win. But chances are it's going to be decided by the Smokey Burgess rule.
See, that's not competition. It's supposed to be a competition. That is not competition. Yeah. That's a board game. So,
and you're only playing that way because it's getting late.
Right, and you want to go home. You want to go home. You want to go sit in the clubhouse with your buddies and drink a beer. And I don't even think. Now, again, I'm not like I used to be, where I could go down into the clubhouse and ask people what they thought about it. But I'd like to have my press pass back, and I'd like to stand there, and I'd like to ask players what they think about it. No real baseball player, in my opinion, would say to you, "Oh yeah, I think it's a good idea that we put a runner on second," without him earning his way. The point of baseball has always been you earn your way you earn everything you get. And immediately somebody will say, "Well, what about the intentional walk?" Well, you know what? You earned the intentional walk.
You're in the situation where that was the choice they made.
Right. Because they thought of you that you were a dangerous enough hitter, or a hitter who knew how to act in that situation, that they would rather put you on base and limit you to one base than have you hit a home run, have you hit a double, have you hit a triple, have you hit cause more damage.
And they put the pressure on their own pitcher. He's got to get ground balls. He's got to get flies. Now he's got to get the outs.
Right. So so anyway, that's my major malfunction this morning about baseball. I thought that the All-Star game, it was a good All-Star game up until baseball stepped in. And by the way, it's interesting that we have a sports talk host in town who's trying to make his bones by saying, and I got this from Jim, from the go-to guy, who's turned into the shit stirrer of the town.
Good for
I
him.
guess this host on KJR is saying that Cal shouldn't, that it was a setup, that they purposely put the field in so that they could, so that Cal could win it.
His comment was that the gist of it was that he wasn't up against real competition. He wasn't up against the best home run hitters in either league. And consequently, his victory was tainted because he was just one of the journeymen out there who was hitting home runs, and he happened to hit the most.
Geez, I didn't realize that those other guys in those uniforms weren't baseball players. I didn't realize that they didn't have major league contests.
Just jokers. And the amount of guys that were hitting the ball over 450 feet was really stunning. They were knocking that ball not just out of the park, but
I tended to think that it was steroid night. I think maybe they put a plate of greenies in greenies or something in the clubhouse, and in honor of Dave Parker. They put a little juice in the situation.
Who put orange juice in my orange juice, as W.C. Fields says.
Yeah. Oh my God. So that's my take on the All-Star game.
Well,
I think Seattle was well represented.
Yeah, they were. They were.
And I hope that Cal doesn't lose his home run stroke now, as Griffey used to do after the All-Star game. I don't know if you remember, but for many years, he'd come back from the All-Star game and he'd go into a slump for 2 or 3 weeks after the All-Star game.
Too much festivity.
No, I think he just put he switched his swing to try to hit home runs instead of trying to make contact with the ball. You city pound today?
Hmm?
You eat the dog pound today, or what?
That is a picture frame that has audio and video on it, and Kailani sends us files. And so what you heard was Bo Musha at about 1 year old, 2 or 3 years old, and his dog at the time, Teddy, named for Ted Williams of the Red Sox, having their teeth brushed against their will in the bathroom with Steve and Kailani, his parents, doing the honors. So he's going, and the dog going, woof, woof, woof. And it turned out it was a whole scene in the bathroom.
Because I heard the dog and I was saying to myself, I know you for many years. And I don't reckon I recall a dog.
No, we haven't had a dog since we had a dog in Seattle. If you remember Kea, the white lab,
Yeah.
And he died after we moved to South Pasadena. And we never got another dog because the cats took over the available areas. They were left to the pets. Cats just expanded their territory and their influence. So I get a cat that weighs as much as Cal Raleigh.
It's a big cat.
It's a big cat.
I hope you don't call him the Big Dumper. It's not a good name for a cat.
He takes it personally, so I don't have to call him anything regarding Dump. He's a reliable product. He leaves his stamp on his daily activities. Poop is part of that. He's very proud of his poops.
Good.
And I'm the one, when the cats pass me in the hallway, you can hear them say, "Isn't that the little man that does our poop?"
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, at the risk of sounding very, I don't know what the right word for it is, but do you monitor your poops more as you get older?
I've never found them to be that interesting that requires monitoring. No.
Well, I don't find them to be interesting, but I do find that once every week or so, I kind of look just to see is there anything unusual, you know? Just to make sure.
I don't know why that reminds me of this, but among my notes today is the concept that if Donald Trump says it, it's a lie. If he makes any point whatsoever, whether it's about Greenland or Iran or Jeffrey Epstein or the Fed and the setting of the interest rates of America, whatever he says is a lie. So if he said he's going to release these files that pertain to Jeffrey Epstein, I can only come to the conclusion that that's a lie. And how we're going to catch him at this lie, how are we going to satisfy ourselves that these controversial files, evidence, grand jury testimony, FBI investigations, whatever the case may be, all of it, how do we know that we're getting those files unedited, unredacted, and truthful as best as they can be? We don't. So I'm assuming that whatever we get from here on out is just part of the same cover and a lie.
Well, I think maybe what he's waiting for is for all of the people who would oppose him or would call him on it to be eliminated from television and or radio.
We'll get them one at a time.
I think yesterday's announcement about Stephen Colbert is just the beginning. As a matter of fact, if you look at it on the same day, Stephen Colbert and NPR and PBS took it in the shorts. So any kind of media that disagrees or that wants to show the president in a not so honorary light,
flattering
light, is going to be eliminated, is going to be crushed, which has all the signs of an authoritarian government.
And Sherry Redstone, the chairwoman of Paramount, the parent company of CBS, who's trying to sell it to some group of financial wizards and is taking precautionary measures ahead of time so that the corporation has no outstanding debt to Donald Trump that owes him nothing. It hasn't challenged him on anything. It paid him a $16 million tribute, and it hopes that the FCC will give it a quick cursory glance and then okay the acquisition of Paramount and CBS. So what they're saying is our content means nothing, our reputation means nothing, our news gathering standards are of no use to anybody. We're going to acquiesce, we're going to give in, we're going to bend, we're going to give our opponents and those who are the enemy of the First Amendment all that they need to strengthen their hand. We'll be part of that. We'll help them in their efforts. We'll make life and truth and news and the reliability of shows like 60 Minutes. Let them fracture themselves on the hard realities of the new world that we live in, Trump's world, and to make it absolutely clear to everybody, this is a business decision that's based on us selling our company to somebody else. We don't want it anymore. We don't care how it's run. We don't care about the news division. We don't care about 60 Minutes or Stephen Colbert or any of our content. We just want to make a profit on the sale and be done with it forever. So we can make the movie. Paramount can make any kind of movie they want. CBS can put on any kind of show they want. We won't care. We just want to sell it at a profit.
And and I think to end the franchise, the Late Show franchise, which, people are being mistaken because they're talking about that they're ending, starting with Letterman. The Late Show on CBS has been on longer than David Letterman. The Late Show started with the movie that came on after the 11:30 news. That was the Late Show. They didn't call it the Late Movie. They called it the Late Show. And then you had the Late Show. Then the second movie was the Late Late Show. Then the third movie was the Late 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 Show. And then you had a fourth movie that was the Late 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 Show. Trying to equal up to the mad, 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 mad world, I guess. And then you had the Star Spangled Banner, and 15 minutes later, you had Sermonette. And listen, I didn't warm up to Stephen Colbert in the beginning, especially because it just felt fake. It felt like it was. I don't know. It just felt like it was an act. But as he settled into the role, I don't know. I started to like him.
I like the Colbert Report, where he pretended to be the conservative, taste master. The man who's in control of what a conservative would think and what a conservative would say and how a conservative would react to any situation. And it was, I thought, much funnier than his late show.
Well, I never thought he was a great interviewer, but yet I think he developed into it. I think he really did a nice job of, especially when he had a good guest. I mean, he wasn't great with the ham and egger Broadway stars they threw at him. Although I thought he was good with, that was Letterman, actually. I was thinking of Aubrey Prince. But it was Letterman that had a really good kind of thing going with her.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like he had a major deal going with her. Which I do too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I just think it's, and when I wrote about it yesterday on Facebook, I said it was about freedom of speech, and it's not really freedom of speech because, as we both know, when you work for somebody, they have the right to tell you what to say and tell you what not to say, and then you have the right to keep taking their check and saying what they want you to say, or not taking a check anymore and walking away. In this case, though, he was not given the opportunity, or at least we don't think he was. I'm sure more will be revealed. I don't know.
Interesting thing is that they announced it so far in advance. I mean, it's not going to be till next year that he actually leaves the air. So they're going to, I guess they did that in an effort to maximize ratings between now and pulling the plug. And for Colbert, it's a great opportunity for him to find another home.
Well, where would he go?
Probably just online, Netflix or Amazon or someplace where he could have a wide open show, same show.
Yeah, I think that Letterman has done fine in that format. But he does a radically different show.
Right. He doesn't have the pressure of a big production every night.
Right. And maybe that's it. Maybe we are seeing the end in many ways of the late night Johnny Carson, Steve Allen, Jack Parr, Tonight Show, which I think is a shame because.
Well, I heard today that Stephen Colbert's show had a staff of 200. 200 is a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah, it certainly is. But if you have a staff of 200, it tells me that you're probably making money.
We have just close to 200. We're within 190.
We're like 198 of that, but we're not making any money. So,
and CBS never told us what to say.
Yeah, that's the one thing about this. Nobody has told us what to say, except when I worked for CBS. That's the only time. The only time I ever was told what to say or what not to say on the radio is when I did work for CBS.
What did they want you to say?
And we came close to walking out. We had a staff member. I won't say the name, but we had a staff member who got into a DUI situation. No. Actually, this was different. Hang on. I almost got myself. We had a club, a sports team's president get into a DUI. And we were specifically told not to go on the air with the story. And there we were at 6:15, 6:30 in the morning, trying to figure out what to do. Making one of those snap decisions. But we got a call at 10 to 6 in the morning saying, do not air that story. Because we were the rights holder of the station, of the team. And they did not want us to air the story.
But the stations across town were airing it, weren't they?
At full volume. And at 6:20, I didn't air it in 6:20 newscast, 6:20 update. Talk about it at 6:20, and then at 7. What was it? I guess our next one was 6:40. I aired it. And I just said, let them fire me. You can't tell your news people what to say and what not to say. So CBS, that was a CBS O&O station at the time. And then finally, at 7 o'clock, the general manager of the station came in and said, you go ahead and air the story. That the program director was wrong.
Had made an error in judgment.
To be honest with you, I was shocked that they didn't fire him that day. Anybody who came from the CBS system would have fired his ass that day. Instead, they promoted him the next month.
That sounds right.
Yeah. They said, this is a good one. We'll promote it.
He had shown everyone that you could always rely on him in a time of crisis.
Yeah, he rolled out of bed. I'm going to get something out of the refrigerator. He rolled out of bed. He said it would be a good idea to tell the boys not to run that story on the president of the Pittsburgh Pirates get a DUI because we were the station that carried the Pirates. And we're negotiating for an extension on the contract. And you certainly didn't want that to happen if you could help it. You didn't want to lose the Pirates.
But he never took into consideration that if all the other stations in town were airing this story, and you weren't, that the appearance of shaving the news to save your ass would be a negative that they'd never been able to shake.
Well, I think that honestly he figured that the other stations were just in deference to us because we were such good friends with them all, because everybody liked this guy so much that they'd just say, well, we won't say it either, because the Pirates are the most popular team in town. Now, if that was the Steelers, that could be a different story. You could bury a Steelers story. But the Steelers wouldn't do that. That's the difference.
Right.
The Steelers are an organization who at that time basically could do whatever they wanted. They owned the media narrative, and if somebody would have gotten popped, let the chips fall where they may. That's one thing about the crew over at and I don't think this was a Pirates directive either. I think this was a directive from our side. Yeah, I think it was one guy who was trying to show how much he influenced the radio station to try to be cool, to show how much power he had.
Where is he now?
I have no idea. Probably in Chumpville. Last I heard he was in Atlanta. And this was years ago. Wouldn't return my phone calls. This was a guy who, when he left, said, "Don't worry, you'll be okay." Because this was the guy that brought me to Pittsburgh, or one of the guys that brought me to Pittsburgh. But it's amazing how people tell you you're okay and you're okay until they're not okay anymore.
Well, let's change the subject ever so slightly. What are you driving, Vinnie?
What am I driving this week? I'm driving a GMC 8. Oh, Vincent, what the heck is the name of that car? It's a very nice, a very nice little suburban type wagon. It's just that I'm at give me 1 second to get the right
You're
name
gonna
of
back
it.
it down that hill.
I don't want to mess up the name. It's why am I having so much trouble this morning, Michael? I am having an extreme amount of trouble functioning with anything that has
It
to do
requires
with.
interface. Well, in that case, when you drive this GMC, don't back it down the same hill you took the Jeep on, okay?
It's the Terrain. That's what it was. I didn't want to give you the wrong name of the vehicle. The Terrain AT all-wheel drive. And I've driven it a little bit. I'm going to take it out and take pictures this morning. So far, I like it. It's it's what passes today for a station wagon.
I saw an ad for a
GM.
car that I've never seen before called the Scout. It's our SUV, and I wondered if you had heard of it. I didn't know who. I don't know who makes it.
Yes. Scout is made by I don't know if you remember from the 60s and the 70s and the early 80s, the International Scout. Well, this is the Volkswagen has brought this back as a separate company. And it's called a Scout, and they're going to make a pickup truck, and they're making a smaller SUV. And I have not driven one yet, but from what I've seen, it looks fantastic. It has enough of the styling cues of the old Scout so that it'll make those people that love that particular car. And I used to be a big fan of a Scout. We had one. My father had one for the gas station. We used to use our road service car, and it was great because it could turn inside of a dime, and it would pull a house down, and the top came off and everything. Well, it won't be cheap, and it won't turn on a dime, and it's all electric, but I think it's going to be, well, actually, I'm saying I think it's going to be a hit. And Michael, the car business is again going into just a mess because they've changed all the rules again. They've thrown out the what they call a CAFE, which is the corporate aggregate fuel economy rules, which means now you can take the biggest engine you want and stick it into a car, and it doesn't matter because you don't have to comply to any rules anymore. The $7,500 tax credit is gone. So the billions and billions of dollars that has been spent over the past 5 years, 10 years for electric cars is basically going down the drain.
And the sticker price is still something that's very much up in the air. Nobody can tell you what any of these cars are going to cost. What a car being made today in a factory in Canada and in the United States is going to cost because we have no tariff agreement with our trading partner to the north.
It's a crapshoot. You don't know what a car is going to cost. If you, I wouldn't know. To be honest, right now, I couldn't 100% tell you whether to go out and buy a car today if you needed one or to hang on for 6 months. It's horrible. There's such an uncertainty that's rolling over the automotive business right now that I don't know how people are going to keep their dealerships, keep their sanity. One of the things with this Scout thing that's going on is, they had wanted the right to sell their cars, not through dealerships, but independently. Many of these new brands are looking for the right to sell their cars independently.
Without a dealership.
Without a dealership. You can just go to like you can with Tesla. You go to a Tesla store and you order a Tesla and you come back and you pick it up. You don't have to go to an automotive dealer. It's a completely different buying experience. And that's the way the rules are set up. That's the way it's set up so that you can buy a vehicle. You have to go to a dealer. If you want to buy a vehicle, you have to go to a dealer. It's these agreements, these franchise rules that have been the auto dealers have spent a lot of money to have them in all 50 states. You have to buy a new Ford from a Ford dealer. And now
that's going to be in flux too.
Well, no, they're spending a lot of money to make sure they're not going to be in flux. The dealers are. And the Republicans are very, very much on the dealer's side because the dealer lobby is spending a lot of money. Last year, there was a bill, consumer protection bill, by the Federal Trade Commission, and as soon as it was going to give consumers some pretty good protections about fees and things that dealers can add on to vehicles and how many times the vehicle can go in for service before they have to declare it a lemon and so many other things. And as soon as one of the first things that Trump did when he got into office is he made sure they squashed it. Gone.
No consumer protection. Bad idea.
No consumer protections. You don't want consumer protections. So we're in a wild place with cars right now. I don't know.
Maybe this will be put in further focus tomorrow at 11 o'clock for your show.
Yes, we're definitely going to be talking about this tomorrow. We'll also show you a brand new Subaru that has just been introduced yesterday. We have pictures of it. We have film of it. And we'll talk about my adventure in the Jeep from last week.
He backed into a bit of a situation, but got out alive.
Yeah, got out alive. And asked the question, what should you expect when you hit that SOS button in the center of your car? I mean, most cars now have a button that says SOS. Well, what do you get? What happens when you hit that button?
Vinnie's experience was less than reassuring.
Less than stellar. So we'll talk about that. So and we'll talk about that
tomorrow. Yeah, have a good show tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
And then I will see you on Monday.
A morose Monday. Jeffrey Epstein will not be our guest. He canceled.
Yeah. He phoned in and said, where I am, I can't talk to you.
He said, it's something I got to do.
Something I got to do? Don't tell the kids. Oh, Michael.
Have a good one, Ben. Have a great weekend.
All right, Mikey. Have a good weekend. I'm trying to get the right tilt on this hat. You like this hat?
Yep.
It's Roberto Clemente, one of my favorite ball players of all time. All right, pal. Have a good weekend. I'll see you Monday if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.
I'm going to put the Manischewitz on ice.
Peace, love, and we need a lot of love right now, pal. Take care.
Take care, Vinnie.
Bye.
A lot of wine.